This video is an introduction to the concept of the paradigm wheel and its relationship to energy healing. The principle of energy healing is to use awareness or attention to fold into the field of consciousness and identify the seed or cause of any type of illness or suffering. At the subtler levels of consciousness, we encounter structures which make up the scaffolding of our experience. Ultimately, these structures are responsible for our worldview. And it turns out that worldview is very important for the healing process. Another word for worldview, coined by Thomas Kuhn, and back in the mid of the last century, paradigm means worldview. I call this a paradigm wheel because it makes a loop. The paradigm wheel, as I understand it, has 6 components. We could probably start with any one of them because they each feed into each other. But I like to start with belief. So the first component is belief, followed by attention, then perception. Experience follows perception. Impression follows experience. And analysis and synthesis bring up the last part of the loop. I'm just going to review these 6 components and how they interface with each other. And then we'll look at how energy healing can be imposed into this, or can be brought into this system in order to effectively promote really healthy evolutionary transformation. Thanks for being with me. The first principle is belief. Beliefs are the tools by which we make sense of our world. Everyone's belief system is slightly different, but the belief system allows us to identify certain experiences as more important than others. When we identify particular experiences as more important or more meaningful than others, then naturally attention tends to move in the direction of that which is considered significant or important. Attention is innocently drawn to that which promotes greater happiness and joy. This is because the expansion of all that is good is one of the principal driving factors of life. Where attention flows, so also flows perception. We can think of attention as connected to or associated with the nervous system and the senses of perception. And I think of the senses of perception as an extension of the nervous system anyway. So where the attention goes, whatever is important, there the senses of perception follow. In energy healing, it's important to consider the fact that the range of the senses of perception is broader than it's normally understood to be in our Western society, that the potential, the full potential of human sensory perception ranges from the dense material level of creation all the way to its own source, the finest, quality-less, infinite ocean of that pure being, which is the source of everything, that singularity. So that's the range of the senses of perception. That's the potential range. When the nervous system is refined enough, right, and the experience of pure consciousness is integrated enough, then the senses of perception have this tremendously broad range. Also, it's interesting to note that our senses of perception can be very, very fine, even on the dense material level of experience. For example, the human eye can perceive a single photon. Now, of course, in our day-to-day activity, where our eyes are being bombarded with trillions of photons every day, but it is possible for even the senses of perception, the eyes and the ears, when refined sufficiently, to perceive even down to a single photon. Perception, which is very spontaneous and innocent, gives rise to experience. The word experience in English can be understood in a variety of ways. It could be understood as just pure experience, like very innocent, spontaneous, natural, just experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing, which is, in this definition, the word experience is very close to the understanding or the concept of pure perception as well. It's just, the input is just coming in. Another way to think of experience is that experience is something that we gain as we go through life, as we have various perceptions. Experience is the byproduct of layers of perception, and experience can be thought of as a sort of wisdom or a deep understanding of the perceptions that we have. The main difference between perception and experience is that perceptions come into the senses and then they go, and a new perception comes, but experience sticks. Experience sticks around. And so with experience comes impression, that we have some perception and we are cognizant or aware that we're having the perception. That's the experience part. And then we remember that we had the experience, the impression or the memory of it. So impression is also part of the loop of the paradigm. The final aspect of this wheel, this paradigm wheel, is analysis and synthesis. Once the perception and experience has been logged in the field of memory or impression, then there's a process that the mind goes through. It's a kind of an inward and an outward stroke of the mind. There's the process, the inward stroke, which is the outward stroke. The outward stroke, which is moving from the just pure experience or pure perception and then analyzing it. So what we're doing when we analyze is we're bringing that experience into more of a concrete thought level of the mind. And we're thinking about, and analysis is a matter of thinking about and looking at it, categorizing, sorting information like that, analyzing. Synthesizing goes the other direction. Synthesizing is like integrating. Synthesizing is when the experience is understood and now we're just we're fitting it into our own sense of self and into the paradigm that already exists. This analysis and synthesis process is the process responsible for the manifestation of belief. So at this point we've come full circle from the belief all the way through to the components upon which belief is formed. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, energy healing is about focusing attention intelligently in order to create a self-referral loop of consciousness, which has a self-transforming effect. And particularly focusing that awareness into the seeds or causes of challenges or problems in order to bring completion to that area of the field of self. Belief plays an extremely vital role in the healing process. There are over 34,000 recorded case studies of individuals healing from the placebo effect in the Library of Congress, USA. This indicates that if a person is convinced and they have convinced themselves that they are healing and they are going to heal, then healing happens in a much more spontaneous and effortless manner than if a person is convinced that they will not heal. I'm not saying that energy healing is strictly based on the placebo effect, but it certainly leverages the innate healing capacity of the physiology through the field of consciousness. The concept of the paradigm wheel is a tool for energy healing because it provides a navigational map of locations that can be where the seed of illness can be identified. Because the seeds or the causes of illness tend to reside at very more abstract or subtle levels of the being, it means that the seeds are in places that are more malleable. And attention alone is frequently, not always, but in many cases, attention itself is sufficient to create a transformation. For example, knowledge can be introduced in order to modify beliefs, expand, in other words, expand the foundation for beliefs. Acts of devotion can refine the heart and thereby have an effect of refining perception. The nature of the universe is to expand. So the principle is to expand any of these 6 principles to their most expanded state, to the point, expand them to the point of infinite expansion, which means introducing the principle of the source of creation, because that level of creation is infinitely expanded. It is eternal, self-perpetuating, qualityless, etc. We're all experts in focusing attention. So I offer you this paradigm wheel as a guide to help discriminate in a more fine way where the attention should be focused in order to isolate out or locate what area of self is feeling incomplete or blocked or no longer blissful. And when we find that spot, then the attention can go in there. So whether the problem is that there are impressions from the past that are supporting some kind of false belief, or whether the senses are blocked, or whether our belief system is somehow limiting us from moving forward, whatever the area is, it's possible to get in and be very specific and very clear in focusing. Awareness is the very stuff of which this universe is comprised. It is pure perception, pure consciousness, pure source energy, which each of us has available to focus as we wish. Bringing awareness or attention to an area of the paradigm wheel which is not fully functioning spontaneously begins the process of completion. As the focus of attention continues, more information is gained. And we go into another loop, which I'll probably talk about in another video, of purification, expansion of awareness, and integration. And that purification, expansion, and integration are the steps that work together ultimately to expand our belief systems, to refine perception, to refine intelligence so that analysis and synthesis is more complete and is more closely aligned with the highest evolutionary goals of life, etc. So thank you for being with me and listening. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. It's been wonderful to share with you.